It's now 14 months that I'm in Parmigiani Fleurier, and it's a wonderful brand. It's very discreet, it's very humble, it's very deep. And what we've been doing is great, in my opinion, because in a very short amount of time, since the presentation of the Tonda PF last year in September, the brand has been enjoying a tremendous response and beyond my expectations. I didn't imagine that you could reactivate an interest and a desire so strongly in such a small amount of time, and this took us by surprise. Even our best expectation on the Tonda PF have been surpassed, and that is why we have a waiting list of over 6 months now on the Tonda PF, which is not at all privacy strategy up front. No, it's something that it's really due to the fact that we are trying to catch up with production, but production takes time to accelerate. No, and so it's a very interesting moment for the brand, and it's very interesting because we have to respect what we have done, respect the clients who have just bought us, who are waiting to receive the new Tonda PF. And so what we're introducing are very, very small introductions in terms of number of references, because they're few, but they're very interesting, because when you do a novelty, you shouldn't be doing a novelty just for the sake of the novelty, but you should do a novelty because you have something new to say. And this is what we're doing in the fair. Well, I'm proud to announce a new world premiere. I think brands like us, like Parmigiani Fleurier, have the obligation to push the frontiers of luxury. And this is important because luxury is becoming bigger and bigger, and it's becoming more mainstream. But the fun is to push excellence, to push innovation, and to do it in the Parmigiani way. It means to do it in a discreet way, in a way which is not ostentatious. And the new introduction that we are doing is called the Tonda PF GMT Rattrapante. The Rattrapante function in English has been translated in a completely opposite way of what it means in French, because it's split second. And split means dividing, while rattrapante means reuniting, putting back together the hands that overlap. So we kept the French name because the GMT Rattrapante is a discrete way of showing a GMT, and nobody ever used the rattrapante function outside a chronograph. And it's the first time that it's done. Through a monopoussoir, you are immediately resetting together the two hands that are showing the two time zones. So it's not a professional GMT with colors and days and night and 24 hours. No, it's really a watch that gets its function alive when you need it, and when you don't need it, it's just a simple two-hand watch, very discreet, very elegant, and that is something extremely interesting, because it's a new way of interpreting a function which is amongst the most common function in the industry. So a lot of people say, you can't reinvent watchmaking. Why not? You need ideas, and that's what we like to do. The second introduction that we are presenting is a new skeleton. Now, skeleton is about mechanics, it's about showing the engine, it's about the beauty of a movement, because technique is beautiful. No, it's part of, it's how you make it that you can design with technique. And what is difficult to do is making the time readable. And you do this by toning down the movement and making it very harmonious and very homogeneous. That's why you have a very pure aesthetic, so you can see that the work that has been done on the aesthetic of the movement is to make it pleasant at the eye, and to have a contrast with the golden hand, the pink gold hand, that makes it extremely readable in reading the time. Other details are subtle, and you, as all the Tonda PF collection, you discover them by wearing the watch, by looking at more detail. They're not things that come up to your face immediately, but you observe them by being curious and looking at the details. In watchmaking, a designer has few millimeters to express his creativity. And one of the most interesting things is the indexes. The indexes are floating in the air in the end part of the index, because there's a chamfer who separates the réau from the movement in order to see the external side of the movement, which is polished. And this movement between space, air, indexes are floating, make an interesting effect, which is not obvious. And then on the back you have the PF oscillating mass that you saw on the PF collection last year. The original idea was born on this project, where we had the skeleton movement in development, and I was looking at the oscillating mass, and this oval that was full of gold was too predominant, and we had the idea of doing the sapphire ellipse with the PF letters floating in the air through the sapphire from this movement, and that was the cherry on the cake, if I would say, of this. And then the last introduction on the Tonda PF is the maximum discretion, where the peak of discretion goes up to the tourbillon. And following the success of the Rattrapante that we did, the split-second chronograph in platinum for the 25th anniversary that were all sold out, on the same philosophy we are showing a platinum, full platinum tourbillon. It's a flying tourbillon with an automatic movement, with a micro rotor in platinum, and with this dial, which is very, very wide, very open, where you have just the tourbillon at 730, you see even more the beauty of this subtle treatment now that you have on the platinum dial, because this watch is platinum dial, sandblasted, with case, bracelet, everything is in platinum, to have a very discreet monochromatic look, which is extremely subtle and very, very non-ostentatious. So we're very proud of this, up to the point that I was thinking not to limit it, but then at the end we kept it for 25 people. Well, for sure the world premiere is the most interesting development, because it sums up a little bit everything, no? The aesthetic, but also the technique. And the technique is, as Michel always say, is aesthetic, no? Because the way that you do a technique has an effect on the mood of the watch. If you take, for instance, the micro rotor, which is the fire of everything, somebody told me, why is there not a second hand? Well, it would have been a different thing. And how do you do it? You do it like a petite seconde, it would have aged the mood of the watch. If you do it at the center, like a trotteuse that goes around, it would have been too sporty, you know? So the technique has an influence on the aesthetic of the watch. And the way that we did the GMT Rattrapante as a function is so pure, that is, through the technique we have been able to respect the soul of a timepiece and of the brand. So I'm very proud of what we have done, and I hope that a lot of people will enjoy it too.